I think in a lot of ways this record almost didn't happen. After the initial touring of our last record, we kind of went through a lot of big changes as a band and found ourselves living in 4 different states. So we're kind of faced with this big challenge of whether we abandon everything we were doing and stop in our tracks, or figure out a way to make this thing we all believed in work.
We've dealt with a lot of crazy stuff, and I think it would be silly to not finish this album.
Honestly, I just didn't know. I didn't know whether it was going to work or not.
I had my reservations. I didn't think that maybe it would work out because I'd never played in a band that had such distances in it between people.
We got Philly, Baltimore, DC, Boston. How you guys write a record? How do we write a record?
We could turn it around if we could figure it out. We could have it again, yeah, we can make it work. Take the parts from the whole, dismantle the great machine. Show us mercy of man, where religion divides. All the colorful creeds, show us unity. All the oceans will rise to swallow this world we've seen. We could turn it around if we could have it again. Learn to take from the earth, then to give it back. We could swallow our pride or swallow the salty seas.
When we first started, we had practice 3 times a week, eventually 2 times a week, and then 1 time a week. And then now we have marathon practices, whether it's 1 8-hour day or 2, a whole weekend of stuff.
We used Jamlink to do practices, which for those who may or may not know is just a system that some bands use to have real-time band practices with one another from different locations. And so, I would set up my keyboard and headset and computer right in the living room, of my apartment and plug into Jamlink to try to play along to some of the songs.
I think that everyone decided that we have some great songs. We've already started writing them. There's some great things coming out of this. We need to see this through.
E's keys play such a gigantic role in this band, and for the most part, we never really got the chance to play with him until he would come into town to rehearse before our shows. And then we're like, oh, dang, this is how it sounds. That's how it's supposed to sound.
In the past, we would all jam for hours and hours and hours to kind of hone all the songs, fine-tune everything perfectly over lots and lots of hours, where with me being in a different city, I didn't sit through pretty much any of that process. I would get where those jams landed, and I would get kind of updates every couple of months of where the tunes were, which allowed me I felt like an opportunity to be somewhat objective about the tunes in terms of structure or form, or how many reps certain parts needed to be, or and it also gave me the chance in terms of my own writing to really just try to add something that I felt maybe wasn't there. If it just needed just block chords, just to maybe help fill out some of the sound, then that's what I would play. Other songs I felt the need to actually play things that are a little bit more decorative to weave one section of one song to another.
There's something special that happened on this record where things got to stew a little bit, so we got to think about things for a while. I also for me personally, I got to go home and work on my drum tracks for a few weeks by myself.
To be honest, writing this record was challenging as far from a lyrical standpoint, and I think it's because I tried to approach it as honestly as I could about what myself and the people close to me and the band and others were experiencing these past few years. I think there's a lot of change that's gone on in all of our lives. The lyrics and the songs are about that change and about the challenges and the struggles that come with that change, and also the eventual growth that comes out of dealing with that.
I make myself change from the person I used to be to the one I know I someday could become. The tension in this room, the thickest I have known. Pressure starts to push my shoulders to my toes.
I like the idea of everybody being in the same room together, because you get that sense of being in the same room with the band. I think the way that Jay put this together with the mixing and everything, it sounds like we were all in that room together doing stuff at the same time.
We wanted to sort of capture this live energy that we've never really been able to get before.
Having that natural push and pull feel with live recording, it sounds more human, and it just, to me, it has more emotion in it. And music isn't supposed to be perfect, and I like the push and pull.
There's so many things that you start and you don't finish, and there's regret. There's regret for not finishing it. And I feel that we made the right call by saying, like, let's make this work. Even though I thought like maybe it wasn't, I still wanted it. I was still hungry for it. So when we did eventually bring in Slobes to play guitar, and even though he lives a distance away, we said it once a month we would come down, and everybody came down, and it just focused on the music, and it ended up being better. I think that the distance just makes it more sacred and impactful when we get together.
I feel like this record is exactly what I would want from bands that I listen to, in the sense that it is familiar and also new.
I think it's cool for this particular band, and I've always thought this is cool, when people leave, our sound evolves. So I never thought about it as better or worse. I think about it as an evolution of the sound.
It changed things, and so there are songs that we wrote that I don't think otherwise would have been written the way that they were written, and I think that there is still some core Vinny Vegas-esque stuff in this record, but it also brings new musical ideas to the table.
As far as personal goals for this, I mean, it really hasn't changed since day one. It's just to make good music and have a good time.
There's a vulnerability to it. There's a rawness to it. I think Vinny Vegas has always been, that's all we've really tried to do, is write good music and approach it from a very honest place. If it didn't feel right, we didn't do it.